People often say that kindness is free, yet it holds the power to buy the most priceless moments in life. But what if I told you that a single act of compassion by a poor teenage girl led to a twist no one saw coming, one that ended with her face on a giant billboard? You won't believe what happened until you hear every second of her story. In the small town of Brookhill, nestled between fading forests and forgotten railroads, lived a 15-year-old girl named Emily Rivers. Emily wasn't the kind of girl anyone noticed. She wore second-hand shoes, carried a torn backpack, and often skipped lunch to save money for her little brother's school books. Her mother worked 2 jobs. Her father? Long gone. Yet Emily never complained. Her eyes always sparkled with quiet determination, and her heart held a kind of warmth the world could never dim, no matter how cold it got. Every morning, Emily walked 2 miles to school. Not because she wanted to, but because she had no other choice. Her family's old bicycle had rusted out months ago, and public transport was a luxury they simply couldn't afford. One rainy Thursday morning, as Emily clutched her jacket tighter around her shivering body, she noticed an elderly woman standing at the edge of Main Street. Cars zipped past as the crosswalk sign blinked red. The woman's cane trembled in her hands, her paper grocery bag soaked and tearing, apples rolling to the curb. People walked by. Fast. Unbothered. Some even stared for a second before turning away. Emily didn't hesitate. She ran to the woman, crouched beside her, and said gently, "Don't worry, ma'am. I've got you." She picked up the apples, gathered the groceries, and held the woman's arm. Together, step by careful step, they crossed the wet road under the flashing lights. Emily's shoes were soaked, her math homework crumpled in the rain, but her smile was steady. Once they reached the other side, the woman clutched Emily's hand tightly and whispered, "People don't stop for people anymore. But you did. What's your name, dear?" "Emily. Emily Rivers." The woman smiled and said, "You remind me of someone I once knew, long ago." Emily nodded politely, unaware that something much bigger had just begun. She never even asked the old woman's name. 3 weeks later, a large crowd gathered downtown. A new community initiative was being unveiled, a campaign about kindness. Local journalists, small business owners, even the mayor had gathered near the town's only billboard. When the curtain dropped, the crowd gasped. There, towering over Main Street, was a massive photo of Emily Rivers, soaking wet, holding an umbrella over the old lady's head, smiling despite the storm. Above it, the words, "Real kindness still lives here." Emily didn't even know the photo had been taken. She was still walking home from school when a friend called, screaming excitedly, "You're on the billboard, Emily. You're famous." Confused and flustered, Emily ran toward the crowd. She stopped, stunned, staring up at her face, frozen in a moment she barely remembered. The mayor came forward. Emily Rivers represents the soul of this town, quiet, humble, and giving. This photo was taken by a local woman who didn't give us her name. She said, "This girl doesn't know the world is watching. But it should be." Reporters swarmed her. "What inspired you to help the old woman? Do you always stop for strangers? How does it feel to be the face of kindness?" Emily, cheeks red and hands trembling, simply said, "I didn't do anything special. I just saw someone who needed help. That's all." But that moment opened doors Emily never expected. A local entrepreneur who had attended the unveiling stepped forward. Her name was Clara Lane, CEO of Lane & Wells Publishing, a company known for children's books and social campaigns. She offered Emily a part-time internship at her office and full sponsorship for the rest of her high school education. "You have something, Emily," Clara said. "And I want to help you grow it." Emily accepted, overwhelmed and grateful. Weeks passed. She balanced work, school, and home like a seasoned juggler. Her mother cried the day Clara sent them a new bicycle and 2 months of groceries. But something still lingered in Emily's heart. Who was the old woman? She hadn't seen her since that day. No one seemed to know who she was or where she lived. Every time she passed that corner, Emily looked, but the woman never appeared again. Then, one evening in late autumn, a letter arrived. It was handwritten, delicate, and sealed with wax. Dear Emily. I watched the world pass me by for years. On that rainy day, I believed no one would ever see me again. But you did. And that moment changed everything, not just for me, but for you. I didn't take your photo to make you famous. I took it to remind the world what compassion looks like. My name is Margaret Linwood. I used to be someone people noticed. A teacher, a mother, a writer. But time stole those titles from me. That day, your hand reminded me who I was. You gave me more than a helping hand. You gave me purpose. And I gave your name to someone very important. With love. Margaret. Emily cried reading the letter. Quiet tears, soft as her heart. She clutched it like a treasure. From that day on, she carried Margaret's letter in her bag. Years passed. Emily graduated with honors. Clara helped her get a scholarship to a university in the city, where she studied social work and journalism. But she never forgot Brookhill. And she never forgot Margaret. In her senior year, Emily created a nonprofit called One Hand Forward, an initiative helping underprivileged kids find educational support through small acts of kindness. She told her story at events, reminding people that one moment, one choice, could ripple across the world. Her organization gained national recognition. One day, during an interview, a reporter asked, "Where did this all begin?" Emily smiled, tears forming. On a rainy street. With an old woman, a paper bag, and a choice to stop walking. Emily returned to Brookhill one winter afternoon. Snow fell gently as she stood again at the same street corner. This time, she wasn't alone. Children in colorful scarves handed out warm soup to passers-by. Her nonprofit had organized a kindness day in her hometown. And then she saw her. Older now. Slower. But unmistakable. Margaret Linwood. Emily rushed to her. They embraced for a long time without words. "I never got to thank you," Margaret whispered. "I never got to say goodbye," Emily replied. They stood there as snow fell, the billboard still visible in the background, now faded, but still holding her image. And as people walked past, some hurried and some slow, they noticed two women, one old, one young, holding hands across the snow. This time, the world stopped to watch. Kindness doesn't need an audience. But sometimes, the quietest acts echo the loudest across time. Be the reason someone believes in good again. You never know whose life you're changing, or who might be watching. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, subscribe to Pure Kindness Stories, and share it to spread kindness across the world. Because sometimes, just sometimes, one helping hand changes everything.